Talk about the Mercury retrograde period in February to March of 2026. Kind of interesting that the timing of it would be at this point, since we just had Saturn and Neptune um, in at 0 degrees Aries, and as I said in my previous video, that's at the midpoint of the aspect between uh, Pluto and Uranus, pushing that energy forward. So it's like we're getting a big bump forward, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, let's back up a little bit, because when Mercury goes retrograde, it's a time of going backwards a bit. Okay. Mercury rules communication. It happens to be in Pisces right now. It's in late degrees of Pisces. This Mercury retrograde period is going to go on between February 25th and about March 21st. So that's almost a full month. That's 4 days shy of a full month. That's 26 days. That is a long, long time. Normally it's only 3 weeks, so we're getting a little extra time to sort of back up a little bit and assess where we are. With it being in Pisces, that's a water sign, and it is a water sign that deals with your spirituality, your sense of consciousness, how you tie into the rest of humanity. Um, and it's very squishy. Neptune, Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and I always refer, my analogy of Neptune is it's like the fog. You can put your hand, if you're driving in the car and you roll down the window and it's foggy on the road, you can't see, you can put your hand out the window. You will feel the moisture on your hand, but you cannot see. And if you're driving like a 5 mile stretch of road, you might have half a mile of that road in different parts of that journey that open up where you can see clearly for a few feet, and then the fog is going to condense back on you again. So when I think of communication and I think of the fog, it means that it's a time to be contemplative. It is a time to assess where you are spiritually and emotionally. It's going to be interesting because this actual Mercury retrograde period, which I'm about to show you, is going to have some other trining aspects to water. So it's kind of similar to last year, where we had so many of the water and earth planets affecting us, and it felt a little heavy. Water is the heaviest element um, by weight. And so, where we felt like we got a little jolt forward by everything moving into Aries, we're going to take a little bit of a step back now, and we're going to do some contemplation and thinking. And the other thing that you need to know about Mercury retrograde is that it's a really good time for things to bubble up to the surface, every pun intended, for to deal with things that you have been either ignoring or trying to not deal with because you just didn't want to deal with it. Like if you've got a conflict with someone that's been brewing, this will be a time when that stuff will come to the forefront. Mercury retrograde can be when appliances don't work properly. In this case, because it's in Pisces and there's other water elements, don't be surprised if plumbing breaks or anything that is a conduit for water. If there's issues with dams or floods of that nature, wouldn't be surprised to see that either. So let's move the map here a little bit and see how it's going to affect. Now, for all of you looking, this is Mercury right here in Pisces. Okay, and I've got the chart set up to where Aries is at 0 degrees ascendant. So this is not specific to any area. We're just going to chart how the planets are moving. All right. So here we go. We're at the 25th of February. We notice that Mercury is stationary, which means it's sitting still. So if, like, you're in negotiations for a new contract or a new job, expect things to come to a screeching halt. There'll be a lot of questions and not much action moving forward. So we're going to move forward today to the 26th. And you'll notice here in the chart that this is Venus, and it is conjuncting, I mean, this is Mercury, and it's conjuncting Venus. So this may be a time to talk about things that make you feel good, what you value, your value systems. And it is also, Mercury is also trining right here Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Cancer. So Jupiter in Cancer is another water sign, and that is your immediate emotional security. Cancer rules the stomach, so it's those feelings that you have in your gut. And Jupiter is an abundance of, it's expansive. And so this may be a time when you're getting into your feels quite a bit. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if waterworks ensue as you're getting into your feelings. So we're going to move forward onto the 27th. We still have Venus conjunct Mercury, and you're still trining the Jupiter. And notice here that now the moon moves into Cancer and it's conjuncting here. So now you've got an extra bolt, an extra emphasis because the moon rules Cancer. So anytime you have where the rulership is in that sign that it rules, it's like having a double amplification of the energy. So again, the 26th and 27th, they could be relatively emotional days, particularly if you have planets in your chart that are in those signs. We're going to move forward now, and now the moon has moved off of that, but you still have Jupiter here. So we keep going. At this point, it is still conjunct, Mercury still conjunct side by side with Venus, so you're still into your feels. And it's also it's a little bit away, but it's being influenced a little bit by Neptune. And remember, I said Neptune rules Pisces. So again, Neptune is the fog. It's also sort of an altered state. So if you feel a little detached from your body, don't be surprised about that. It's going to be really important at this point that, especially during the Mercury retrograde period, that you try and stay grounded, even though you are sort of floating up in the ether, so to speak, operating at a little bit different plane. We're going to keep going here. You still got Mercury conjunct Venus. And it is still conjunct, it's still trine Jupiter. So those things are still at play. Now, at this point on the 3rd of March, you will see that Venus is 6 degrees away from Mercury. So it's moving away from Mercury. It's not as much of a feel-good time. You're not quite on the sun yet, but Mercury is still trine this Jupiter in Cancer. So it may not be as heavy as it's been, but it's still going to feel a little heavy. We go on to the 4th, and Mercury is still trine Jupiter. We're going down to the 5th of March. At this point, it is still trine Jupiter, and now it is starting to conjunct the Sun. So whereas you've been in your feels about it, now you're going to get some light on the situation, particularly if it's something that hasn't been working well for you in a relationship with someone. Some light will come to bear. It may come up to the surface to be discussed. At this point, March 6th, it's still conjunct the Sun. You still got light on it. And on the 7th of March, Mercury is in exact conjunction, meaning it's occupying the same location in space as the Sun. So expect that if you've been having conversations for a couple of days, it could get fairly intense on the 7th of March. I'm going to keep going. Now, Mercury has now moved past the Sun. It's heading towards the North Node. The next big jump is going to be when it conjuncts Mars. So we're going to go forward. See when we get to that point. Okay, right now, Mercury's at 12 degrees, Mars is at 7 degrees. That's a 5-degree orb. which means it's close enough to have an impact. So Mars is assertiveness, it's action, can be aggressive in its what I call unevolved state. Um, so the 12 things, the water may start to boil a little bit, so to speak. Water being the sign of Pisces, um, and Mars is heat. So things might start to elevate just a tad. Um, and it's going to get even closer on the 13th. And then we get to the 14th and the 15th. And on the 15th, it's exactly conjunct, which means they're occupying the same space. So March 15th is a day to put on your calendar to be chill. When you get up that morning, do your meditation, do your yoga, whatever, and try and be as chill as possible, that when people are trying to provoke you, um, bait you into a fight, into a verbal dispute, just try and have a little bit of objectivity, because things could get fairly heated on the 15th March, 14th and 15th. Mercury continues to start moving away from Mars. It's still conjunct. I mean, it's still close because it's within 2 degrees. So it's still within that orb of affecting one another. And then we're going to go back here where it's now at the 8th. It's still somewhat, but it's moving away. So the pressure's starting to lessen a little bit. And at this point, now Mercury is going to go stationary, which means it's going to stop, and now it's going to start moving forward and on the next day. So while it's still conjunct, it had moved away a little bit, and now it is going to start going back forward. You notice there's an S here, meaning it's stationary on the 21st. Now it's at 6 degrees orb, so it's far enough away to where you're not feeling that anger. So my advice to you is just understand what it, and it goes fully direct on March 22nd. So just realize that it's going to be an emotional period. As a matter of fact, there was also a day here, and I forgot to highlight it. Let's go back where we have a grand trine in water, where the moon, it is right here. Right here. Here we go. On March 8th, notice we've got Mercury in Pisces conjunct the sun. So there will be light on your emotional state, on your communication. Okay. It's going to be trining your moon in Scorpio. So moon in Scorpio is deep feelings, very deep feelings, whether they're feelings of resentment or they're feelings of joy or feelings of whatever, it doesn't matter. They are deep feelings. So this day of March 8th, there's going to be some strong feelings, and it's going to be, the energy is going to naturally flow between the moon, between this Jupiter in Cancer, of their feeling of personal security. How can I increase my personal security to make me feel more comfortable? And how do I talk about it or express it to make it known, to where this is what I need in order to feel comfortable and safe, okay, and protected. And these could be your inner fears that you have, your inner deep, deep fears that you're afraid um, might come to light. So March 8th is particularly one of the days I would watch very, very closely relative to this Mercury retrograde. Okay, that's it. That covers the period of Mercury retrograde. I hope this is helpful. Just remember, when you are transiting through this time, this is going to be a slower time. It's going to be emotionally, it's going to feel a little heavy. And it's a good time to deal with some of these deeper issues and sort of clean out the closet, as it were. Um, so it's a good time to do that, because when it goes direct, then things will start moving pretty quickly again. Okay? Hope this helps. Remember what I always say, be conscious of your environment, and be kind, and be safe. Peace out.